Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that sorts through the noise, digs into the data, and gives you the key takeaways, basically a shortcut to being really well informed. Today, we are diving deep into something pretty specific, maybe surprisingly specific, the market for audiometry rooms.
That's right.
Now, for anyone wondering, these are those specially designed rooms, often soundproof booths or dedicated clinic spaces.
Exactly. Where they do hearing tests, they need that controlled environment to get accurate results, free from, background noise.
Right. And you might think, okay, super niche data, why look at this? But honestly, it can tell us a surprising amount about much bigger global trends.
It really can.
Yeah.
So for this deep dive, we've got a really comprehensive overview. It covers revenue forecasts, market dynamics, the whole picture for the global audiometry room market. Our main source here is data from Cognitive Market Research, presented via Global Industry Pulse. And our goal isn't just reading out numbers. It's about pulling out what really matters from this data. What's happening, sure, but also why it's happening and what it signals about wider trends.
Okay, let's start with the big picture then, the global numbers. Lay them on us.
All right. So globally, this market was already worth $1,889.86 million back in 2021.
Wow, okay, so almost $1.9 billion. That's substantial.
Yeah, definitely not small change. And it's not slowing down. Projections show it hitting $2,350.1 million by 2025.
Just next year.
Exactly. And then looking further out, it's expected to climb to over $3.6 billion, specifically $3,634.11 million by 2033.
Okay, so significant growth over the next decade.
For sure. And that translates to what they call a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 5.6%.
Which is pretty healthy, right? That CAGR, just to clarify, is like the average yearly growth smoothed out over that whole period.
Precisely. It gives you a clearer sense of the steady underlying momentum, ironing out any, bumps year to year.
So why? Why is this specific market seeing such consistent growth? What's behind it?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting because it connects to these huge global shifts. We're talking about expanding healthcare infrastructure pretty much everywhere. Then there's the big one, aging populations globally.
Right. More older people generally means more need for hearing checks.
Exactly.
Yep.
And also just generally, there's increasing awareness and a growing need for accurate hearing diagnostics worldwide. So these aren't just numbers about rooms. They reflect these massive societal trends.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's break it down geographically. We see this healthy global growth, but where's the action concentrated? Where's the real momentum?
Right. So looking at the regions, the Asia Pacific is actually leading the way right now.
Yeah.
And it's showing really strong, robust growth.
Leading the whole market.
Currently, yeah. And projected to keep that momentum. Their revenue is forecast to go from about $684 million in 2021.
Okay.
All the way up to over $1.3 billion, specifically $1,348.25 million by 2033.
Wow, almost doubling.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's a CAGR of 5.815%, so slightly above the global average.
And within Asia Pacific, which countries are the big drivers?
It's largely China and India. China is the leader, starting at about $288 million in 2021 and projected to hit almost $576 million by 2033.
Mm-hmm.
And India is also showing huge growth, from around $102 million up to over $210 million in that same time frame.
And Japan.
Yeah.
Still a significant player.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Japan's figures are solid, too, going from about $95 million to nearly $178 million.
Yeah.
And you've also got South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Southeast Asia, Taiwan. They're all contributing significantly to that regional total.
Okay, so Asia Pacific is really charging ahead. That's fascinating. Now, how do the, let's say, more established markets compare? Thinking North America here, are they keeping pace?
North America is definitely still a powerhouse, a really foundational market.
Right.
Its overall revenue is also projected to grow significantly, from around $523 million in 2021 up to nearly $990 million by 2033.
Still very strong growth.
Yeah, with a CGR of 5.455%, so very solid, just slightly under the Asia-Pacific rate.
And I assume the U.S. is the biggest chunk of that.
Oh, absolutely. The United States is the main driver. It's expected to go from about $434 million to over $814 million by 2033.
Okay.
But here's something interesting within North America.
Yeah.
Mexico.
Oh, yeah. What's happening there?
Well, its absolute numbers are smaller, of course, starting around $31 million in 2021. But its projected growth, up to over $68 million by 2033, comes with a CGR of 6.452%.
Whoa, that is faster than the U.S. or Canada.
Yeah, noticeably faster. Canada's growing steadily, too, mind you, from about $59 million to almost $106 million.
Yeah.
but Mexico's rate is higher.
What do you think that signals, that faster growth in Mexico?
It could be several things, maybe significant government investment in healthcare infrastructure or perhaps a rapidly expanding private healthcare sector. It definitely suggests expanding access to diagnostics.
Interesting. Okay, so North America is strong, led by the U.S., but with Mexico showing some real acceleration. What about Europe, often seen as a leader in healthcare?
Europe's picture is also one of steady, solid growth, very foundational. The region's market is projected to grow from around $459 million in 2021 to over $861 million by 2033.
Okay, again, almost doubling over that period.
Right, with a KGR of 5.379%. So very much in line with North America.
And the big players there, Germany, UK, France.
Yep, those are the leaders. Germany is projected to reach nearly $174 million by 2033. The UK is looking at about $130 million, and France around $110 million.
Makes sense.
But similar to the Mexico story, there's a kind of hidden detail in the European data that's quite revealing.
Oh, what's that?
It's the category labeled Rest of Europe, so countries beyond those big three and a few others.
Okay.
That segment started smaller, around $51 million in 2021, but is projected to surge to nearly $140 million by 2033.
Wow, that's a big jump percentage-wise.
Exactly. It represents the highest regional KGR within Europe. It's 7.652%.
So similar to Mexico, maybe suggesting faster development or catch-up in some of those other European nations.
Precisely. It could reflect new health initiatives, maybe EU funding reaching certain areas, or just a growing focus on diagnostics in markets that were previously perhaps a bit underserved. It really highlights where development priorities might be shifting.
That's a great insight. Okay, so we've covered Asian Pacific, North America, Europe. Let's move on to the Middle East and South America, often quite distinct growth patterns there.
Absolutely. And the Middle East is showing very strong growth in this area, really dynamic.
Okay.
Their revenue is forecast to more than double, going from about $77.5 million in 2021 up to over $181 million by 2033.
And the growth rate?
A strong CAGR of 6.706%, so one of the fastest growing regions globally.
Which countries are driving that?
Key contributors include Turkey, expected to go from $17.06 to over $40. Also Saudi Arabia, about $15 a day to nearly $36. And the UAE, roughly $14 up to $33. Egypt is also significant.
Right, reflecting broader healthcare development in those areas.
Definitely. And then you look at South America. Here we see steady expansion, more moderate but consistent.
Okay. What are the numbers?
It's projected to grow from about $79 million in 2021 to nearly $142 million by 2033. That's a CAGR of 5.266%.
Still solid growth. And the main market there, Brazil.
Yes, Brazil is the primary driver, expected to go from about $36.6 million to over $66 million. Argentina is also a key market, projected to grow from $12.4 million to over $21 million.
Got it. So that just leaves Africa to round out the global picture. What's the situation there?
Africa is also part of this growth story, definitely showing an increasing focus on healthcare, though maybe at a slightly more moderate pace compared to, say, the Middle East or Asia Pacific right now.
Okay.
The market revenue there is projected to grow from about $66 million in 2021 to over $112 million by 2033.
And the growth rate?
The CAGR is 4.778%.
Still positive growth, but a bit slower than the others.
A bit slower, yes. Key countries contributing here are South Africa, moving from about $30 million to nearly $51 million, and Nigeria, projected to go from $14 million to about $24.5 million.
Okay, so looking across all these regions, what's the big takeaway from this geographic spread?
I think what's really fascinating, pulling it all together, is just how consistent this global demand is. Everywhere is growing. But you see the fastest, most dynamic growth spurts happening in regions like the Middle East and Asia Pacific, which makes sense given their development trajectories.
Right.
Meanwhile, the established markets, Europe and North America, they're not stagnating at all. They're maintaining really strong, steady momentum. It shows this is a fundamental need across the board.
So let's bring this back to the listener. We've thrown a lot of numbers around, billions of dollars, HGIGRs. Why should you, listening now, care about this seemingly niche market for audiometry rooms? Well, because these numbers, they aren't abstract. They really are a reflection of human health trends on a massive scale. They track demographic shifts like aging populations, and they show where investment, both public and private, is going into healthcare infrastructure globally. When you see Mexico or the rest of Europe category accelerating faster than others, it's not just a market stat. It's a potential indicator of changing healthcare policies, of improving access to essential diagnostics for potentially millions of people.
That's a great way to put it.
So just to sum up our deep dive today, This market for audiometry rooms, yeah, it's specific, but it's acting as this really powerful indicator. We're seeing significant, consistent growth across the globe, and it's driven by these major forces: expanding healthcare systems, aging populations worldwide, and just a growing awareness and need for accurate hearing tests. It's kind of a quiet giant, reflecting where global health priorities are moving.
Absolutely. And just to recap those key regional trends, Asia Pacific and the Middle East are where we're seeing the most dynamic, fastest growth right now.
Yeah.
That signals major investment in expanding access.
Right.
But North America and Europe, they remain incredibly strong foundational markets, showing that continued high demand in developed healthcare systems.
So here's a final thought for you to mull over, something that goes a bit beyond the data we looked at today. As technology keeps racing forward, and as global populations undeniably continue to age over the next decade, how might the actual design of these critical diagnostic spaces change?
Good question.
And how might their accessibility evolve? Will we see smaller, maybe more mobile audiometry solutions? Could they become more integrated into, say, telemedicine to meet this clearly growing global demand?
Lots to think about there.
Definitely something to consider. Keep digging, keep exploring, and keep taking your own deep dives into the world around you.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into a world you probably don't think about much: the global audiometry room market.
Right. These aren't just ordinary rooms.
No, exactly. They're these silent, specially designed spaces crucial for accurate hearing tests.
Highly engineered environments,
They're,
really.
we might call them invisible spaces, but interestingly, they're seeing some pretty notable growth.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising when you first hear it.
So our mission today, we want to unpack what's driving this vital healthcare segment, the challenges it faces, and some of the really fascinating trends shaping its future.
And it's foundational, isn't it, for identifying hearing issues accurately. Our sources show this market, despite being, well, quiet, is definitely expanding.
And the main driver, when you really look into it, it's more than just, say, aging populations.
Although that's definitely part of it.
Oh, absolutely. But the global increase in hearing loss affecting children, too, well, that creates this steady, non-cyclical need for precise diagnostics. It's a real shift in public health needs.
That makes sense. And if you connect that to regulations, things like government rules and occupational safety standards like OSHA here in the US or WHO guidelines globally, they're huge.
How so?
Well, they often mandate certified audiometric testing. They don't just suggest it, especially in noisy places like factories.
Ah, okay. So that creates a direct demand for these specific sound-isolated rooms.
Exactly. Certified rooms.
And beyond just demographics or regulations, there's also the impact of, like, public health campaigns, right?
Definitely. Think about early screening programs.
For newborns, yeah, or school kids, even the elderly.
Right. They're proactively catching hearing issues earlier, which means more people are getting channeled into audiometry services.
Which in turn must fuel the growth of places like ENT clinics and hearing aid centers.
Precisely. Particularly in urban and semi-urban areas that are growing, more clinics means more need to install these diagnostic spaces. They're the backbone, really.
Okay, but like any market, it can't all be smooth sailing. There must be some challenges.
Oh, for sure.
The cost immediately comes to mind. It sounds expensive.
It can be, yeah. You're talking specialized acoustic panels, these floating floors to cut out vibration.
Floating floors.
Yeah, and noise-controlled air conditioning systems. It's a significant investment, and that can be pretty tough for small clinics to manage.
That raises a good point about access, too. What about, say, older buildings or hospitals in dense cities? Space must be a real issue.
Absolutely. Architectural challenges are a real thing. And then there's the issue of access in lower income areas or remote regions.
Right. It's not just the cost there, but maybe lack of awareness, or even just finding trained audiologists.
All of the above. It's a complex accessibility picture.
And here's something interesting. Could the rise of mobile or portable audiometry solutions actually be sort of a restraint on the traditional room market?
That's a great point. I mean, these portable systems aren't just convenient.
They're cheaper, right,
Yeah.
for things like workplace screenings or reaching rural areas.
Exactly. They offer a cost-effective alternative, challenging the need for a fixed room in some cases. It definitely democratizes access in a way fixed rooms sometimes struggle to.
But innovation doesn't stop there. The fixed rooms are evolving too.
Oh, yes. We're seeing a big move towards modular and prefabricated audiometry booths.
Ah, like ready-made units?
Kind of. They're much easier to install. You can relocate them if needed. And critically, they still meet those strict ANSI and ISO standards for sound isolation.
So you get flexibility without compromising the accuracy needed for testing.
Precisely. That's the key.
And that flexibility probably ties into the digital side too. Smart audiometry.
Absolutely. We're seeing EMR integrations so the results talk to patient records easily, touchscreen interfaces, real-time noise monitoring inside the booth.
Real-time monitoring, so you know if a sudden noise outside might affect the test.
Exactly. And even things like teleaudiology are expanding, making expert consultations more accessible. It's all about precision and access.
And I heard about something quite heartwarming too. Pediatric spaces.
Yes, that's a wonderful trend. Designing specific audiometry rooms for kids, making them playful, less clinical, maybe with themes.
To make it less scary for them.
Exactly. It helps make that crucial early diagnosis more effective and, well, a better experience for the child and parents.
That's fantastic. And one last trend, sustainability. Is that playing a role?
It is increasingly. Manufacturers are using eco-friendly soundproofing materials, designing more energy-efficient ventilation
And
systems.
those vibration-isolated floors you mentioned?
Yeah.
Also part of it?
Yes, aligning with green building standards. It's not just about being quiet anymore. It's about creating a healthier, more responsible environment overall.
So wrapping this up for you, our listeners. Yeah. It's clear the global audiometry room market is, well, anything but static. It's this dynamic mix of public health needs, really cool clinical innovation, and a growing focus on patient-friendly design. It's definitely not invisible when you look closely.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you to ponder, how will this balance play out, between these essential, highly specialized traditional rooms and all these innovative portable and digital solutions? How will that continue to shape who gets access to vital hearing tests around the world in the coming years?